Okay, I'm Jodel.
I'm Dion, and this is a pitch presentation on the thriller film that we've decided to produce.
Okay, so our brief was to create a 2-minute opening thriller, thriller movie. But what was a thriller movie? A thriller movie, by Google's definition, it's a genre that revolves around anticipation and suspense. And for this, the audience always needs to be alert and the edge of their seat. And also through audience research, we found that the question of what is going to happen next should always be on the audience's mind, and it should also be unpredictable and keep them excited throughout. There's different types of subgenres that are involved in the thriller genre, such as the psychological thriller, the action thriller, and we decided to go with the horror thriller for our movie. These are kind of the typical conventions inside of a horror genre. The ones in bold are the ones that we are looking to include in ours. So dark scenes, the protagonist and the antagonist, tension building music, and we try to include places that have a past and a history into it. Okay, so the brief of our film, it takes place in a school that we try to send Whitechapel. It's about students who are trying to complete a history project based around Jack the Ripper. So what happens is that it's a school lock-in. After 8 p.m. all doors are locked. So the students have to create a project around Jack the Ripper, and then so this is where the problem starts, because this is where this historical fraud who knows about Jack the Ripper and wants to kind of replicate what he done. That's when he gets introduced to the scene, and potentially danger is lurking around every corner. The idea of making this horror themed film, the conventions were obviously easy to kind of replicate, and we found that we would be able to do the same. And the fact that we're also situated in a school played a part, and also through research we found that the last sort of Jack the Ripper themed movie was From Hell, which was 2001, and also there were only just sporadic other Jack the Ripper movies going throughout the 1900s. My target audience is for both males and females. We didn't just go for one. Mid-teens to 30s, so it's the age range that we're trying to go for. The social class of grade B, so just professions in that grade. We decided to have the location to be in the United Kingdom, because this is also where Jack the Ripper is based. So, and people are more likely to possibly know about Jack the Ripper more in the United Kingdom. There was no bias towards ethnicity, and psychographics was the mainstream. So from the BFI, we found that we got good feedback from it, and they also they liked the idea, and they also thought that it would end up working. They described it to be good and fun, and we found that with the title name for The Ripper Returns, we decided to just change it to The Ripper, because The Ripper Returns was said to be almost slightly comedic. So the effect of just The Ripper, and the location of a filming, we were thinking that we were going to film it outside of the school, but we ended up deciding that we would film it inside the school. For distribution company, we chose Lionsgate to be it, because they have one of the biggest thriller series, which is Saw, and also in their top 25 movies they have Saw 1 to 5, which is obviously good, because that also is similar to the film that we're trying to put out. And also it's better than the other distribution companies, such as Universal, because their movies to do with the same sort of genre wasn't in the same they weren't as highly up in their top grossing films than as with Lionsgate. And also with the logo, we found that it hasn't always just been just one logo. It has always been like focused on one color. So as you can see that it's red here. That can be linked into our movie because red can be linked to sort of like danger, and so we thought that this would be the ideal logo to be used inside.
The character profiles. We have 4 main characters, and each of them have their own distinct personality. Isabel is seen as the mother of the group. Martha is the one who teases everyone, but still remains part of the group. Sarah is the youngest one, and she's usually seen as quite ditzy. And William is kind of like the victim against the group. We would like to cast our actors with personalities which are similar to the characters. That way they don't have to act as much, and they can try and make the character their own. There are 4 main locations that we would like to use around the school. These are 2 different corridors, the theatre and a classroom. We have assessed these all 4 areas and found that there are some possible risks with them, but we have also created some solutions for them. For example, this corridor can be quite dark, which means that more injuries can happen. To prevent this, we'll wait for the lights to turn on, as all the lights are automatic, or if there's just a problem with the lights, we'll use a different floor. This next corridor is on the 1st floor, which means that it's a very populated corridor. This would mean that people will be walking in and out of our shop very constantly. To try and combat this, we will try to record outside of lesson time so that students shouldn't really be walking around. And we will also be aware of our timing, so we know when lesson changeover, break, or lunch is happening, so that we can avoid all the disruption. The theatre is also often used for assemblies, examination purposes, and for PE lessons. This could be a problem because it will mean the theatre will be out of bounds. To avoid this, we can find out when things are happening in the theatre and when it's free, so that we don't disrupt anyone. And finally, the classroom. As it's a classroom, it means that some lessons will be taking place here. This will be a problem because it will mean this room will be out of use. To avoid any clashes, we'll make sure that we talk to the teachers who work in the classes and find out whether the classroom is free or not. And if it's not free, we'll find out when it is and we'll use it after school. The script helps portray the characters in a different light. It also shows that they are really unaware as to what's happening in the scenes. And the script draws in the audience at 3 distinct parts. One is right at the beginning, where we have a small little poem said by the Ripper. And this is the first thing that the audience hears. So at the moment, when the audience hears it, it's just an unknown character who is saying some quite dark and vague phrases, which really entices the audience as to they want to know who it is, why they're saying these things, and what's happening. The second one is in the stage direction. This is when we see one of the characters running through the corridors, only to stop suddenly at double doors, where she sees a figure that passes by one of the windows. This builds suspense because it shows that there's something unknown that's going on in the area. It also shows that it builds suspense because it creates that the character doesn't know what's going on, which also portrays onto the audience. The final one is the aftermath of the character seeing someone. And she says, "I saw someone," while she is panting and she's very panicked. This emphasizes the feeling that there's something's unknown and that something's not really going right. We've drawn a storyboard of 12 frames, and these 3 in particular show how we've been able to convey the thriller enigmas into our film. The first one is the shot of the school, establishing shot of the school and it's lit by streetlight. This shows that this conforms to the enigma of it being dark. And also the lights aren't very bright, so it also shows that it goes like against the way a school's usually seen, which is in the light. The second one is where our character Sarah sees something in the corridor. We've chosen for the figure to be all blacked out in this shot because it creates a mysterious feeling, because it doesn't really look like this person has a face. Like the person doesn't have an identity, which makes it feel really unexplainable and kind of intrigues the watchers. And the last one is of a completely empty corridor with the same black figure. It makes it seem that they're the one in charge because they're the only one in the frame. They're the only one that the audience can see. And this really helps to conform to the enigma of unanswered questions and slightly the feeling of being unknown. Finally, we have chosen this track to go right at the end of our scene, which goes with the last scene, which is the empty corridor with the figure. We've chosen this because it really shows that it creates a lot of tension, and it shows that something's not going right, that something is there to come. And finally, our production schedule. We would like to have everything finished and edited by the 24th of March 2016. We've created many different deadlines, such as when the filming starts, when the filming ends, when the rough cut should be finished, when the rough cut should be previewed, and when everything should be finished. We have done this so that we can have set goals, so that we can make sure everything's finished in time, and that we make sure that the audience gets to see it and we get some audience feedback as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Just a few questions, please, before we finish. Could you let me know what each of you did to contribute to this pre-production stage, please?
I did the film title ideas, the risk assessment, the location planning, the script, the storyboard, the initial ideas, the character profiles, and the production schedule.
And I also did the storyboards, I did the audience feedback to the treatment, the film title audience research, distribution company, final treatment, and the audience research into initial ideas.
Okay, thank you. Could you also, you explained quite a lot of justifications for your idea, including audience research, but could you also tell me how you've stuck or broken the conventions of the thriller genre?
Well, we've more stuck to the conventions of the thriller genre, which can be seen through the slide which shows the bold conventions, if you want to change it. Basically, it showed what conventions that we want to try and include in our ones, which that include the death, violence, blood, place with a difficult or no escape. The hidden identity of the antagonist will be really key in our film.
Okay. You also described that your